Bismillah. Thank you very much for coming. So sorry for the technical issues that we're having at the moment. Just thought I'd introduce the movie to everybody. Okay, so this movie was produced. First of all, thank you for coming on this evening, braving the rain and everything else. And this film was basically produced by Yasin Salazar. So some of you who've been to film club and things like that may know Video Salazar. You know, he did the movie on Al-Ghazali, The Alchemist of Happiness, and things like that. So this is his son, Yasin. So Yasin basically produced this film as part of the exhibition. Basically, it's actually a series of vignettes. A little bit about film history, and there are two types of films. There are narrative films, which follow an entire narrative from the beginning to the end. But then there was also a period in film history where it had vignettes. And Cheryl is a documentary filmmaker who knows it very well. There was a period in film history where you had slice of life, and you had little, you basically had small depictions of people's lives, and you put it all together. So those were vignettes that people put together, and that was different style of filmmaking. So this movie is from the second category. Basically, he took all the videos from the different exhibitions, and he put them into a single film, right? But what you get in the process is you get a narrative. You get a narrative beginning with Islamic art in the West, very deliberately, because in the context of Yasin's culture, which is British Muslim culture, there's a dissociation between Islamic art and Islamic civilization at the West. So he's literally breaking that at the beginning, and then we move into Turkey, and then we basically move all the way to Mukha, Saudi Arabia. So in a sense, it's like a journey toward the center. That's basically what it is, that process. But the section that we'll be talking about later, inshallah, in the discussion will be the section on Songket and Terengganu. So we have partners here with us, with us today, and the people from Terengganu Songket. So basically, a bit of background to this. Yasin reached out to me and asked whether he could have whether he could basically include Islamic art from Malaysia, and he had heard about Platinum's Songket reading that had been talked about in Britain already. And so I said I'd get them in contact with Cheryl and contact with the media, documentary filmmakers that I know. And so that was how that happened, and Cheryl didn't talk about that. So basically we had that entire section of people who were involved in that, and we talk to you about it later. And so we'll be focusing on the Malaysian content. So this is the first time that the film is being shown, God willing, being shown in abroad. So this is, as it were, its first premiere beyond its initial point of origin. So that's what I have to say. I think we should be in the process of setting up soon. Thank you very much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin.
Test check 1 2. Test check 1 2.
All right, thank you very much. So, nice to see a larger crowd here. Thank you everybody for watching the movie. So now we're going to go into the post-discussion. First of all, very sorry that it's starting a bit late. As some of you already know, there were some technical difficulties at the beginning, but thankfully everything went smoothly. So now I'd like to invite Cheryl Bustaman and Luqman al-Hakim to come up here. Thank you. Okay, so this is a small crowd, so we'll make it a little bit more informal, I think. So I'm just going to introduce Cheryl and Luqman to you guys. And after that, I'll ask them a few questions. And then if you have some questions, you can think about it, and we'll pass the mic around. Is that okay? All okay? Yeah? All right. So first of all, Cheryl A. Bustaman. So Cheryl is a documentary producer based in Malaysia who is focused on gender and migration issues under her production company, Fat Bidin. Her recent feature documentary, Jom Kita ke Laut, Itui Suli Suli Bajau, has just finished its Malaysian cinema run in July 2026. Hopefully it'll come to cinemas again. It was really good. I encourage everybody to see it if it shows again. Yeah. Luqman al-Hakim is the director of Terengganu Songket. Founded in 1975, Terengganu Songket has led the way in the preservation and continuation of Songket, establishing this art form so that it thrives into the 21st century. So this film was directed by Yassin Salazar for the King Abdulaziz Center in Saudi Arabia. It's part of the exhibition. And Cheryl, you were part of the one of many different crews. One of the interesting features about this film is that it has a variety of different crews and filmmaking styles across the film. So I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you got involved in the project, and also what exactly does a line producer do for those of us who don't know what a line producer is.
Thank you. I got involved in the project because of you, Adib. So you know his father, right? Yassin's
Yes,
father.
that's right. Yeah.
Yes, correct. So Adib knows Yassin's father, and Yassin was working on this big project, and he already had a Malaysian line producer that he was supposed to be working with, but this person ghosted him, and it was coming very close to the time when he really needed to shoot this Malaysian segment, and he reached out to Adib to ask Adib if he knew anybody who could help, and Adib connected us with Yassin, who turned out to be a very nice man, so great, and we got to go to Terengganu also. Essentially, a line producer is a person in that particular country, in our case Malaysia, who helps you coordinate and organize your. In this case, Yassin said he was looking for this particular Terengganu Songket weaver, Kak Nun. He's been trying to get in touch with her. The person that he was in contact with was supposed to get in touch with her but couldn't. So then I got in touch with her, and then I went to Terengganu to see her. Saya pergi Terengganu dan jumpa Kak Nun sebelum kami shoot. And then she agreed to do the shoot, and then we coordinated with Luqman on what we were going to shoot, how we were going to shoot it. They were very, very hospitable, and then the crew to shoot, and then Yassin came down, and then my job basically on the production is to keep everybody alive and fed, and make sure everybody is okay, and to deal with any other issues that might come up. Yeah, that's basically my job.
Exactly. So you have to keep everything together, basically, right? And you're the contact point also. So before we move on with the movie, Luqman, you're a director also, but a different kind of director. You're a director of Terengganu Songket.
Yes, yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about the history of Terengganu Songket and what your role is as a director there?
So, Assalamualaikum. Thank you for inviting me, Adib. It's an honor to me to be here because your film screening about and featuring about our video. And then my name is Luqman al-Hakim. I'm the 6th generation of Songket maker, which is the 5th generation is here. My mother is Kak Nun, and then basically Terengganu Songket already 50 years plus, and it was founded by my late grandmother, which is passed away 2 months ago. So yeah, it's quite sad, but life needs to move on. Yeah, that's it.
Exactly. So one of the things that this movie is all about, it's about the figure of the artisan, and the way Yassin frames the film is that he's actually talking about Islamic art generally, but the way he does it is the artisan is a motif basically, and learning through the artisan and the human aspect of it. So it's not just about objects, which so many films like this are. You talked a little bit about your relationship with Kak Nun. Could you talk a little bit about what your experience was working with Kak Nun during the production? Because in documentary films, sometimes a documentary filmmaker comes in and then just films the person in a very clinical way. What was your relationship like? Because in order to get an interview like that and shots like that, you need to know the person on a certain level.
Like, okay, bye Zan. Everybody say bye Zan. Zan was also
Bye,
a
Zan.
line producer on this.
Everybody, applause for that.
No applause for Zan. Zan did very little work. Okay. I made it a point to. It's very important in Malaysia. I'm sure everybody who's Malaysian or has lived here in Malaysia for a long time will know. We need a lot of. It's not really cable, but everything goes on a hospitality level. You need a certain amount of courtesy to be able to get anything done here. So I made it a point to go and see Kak Non before the shoot itself. I did give her a call, and then instead of just trying to coordinate everything on the phone, I took a trip down to Terengganu to meet her, and then we had a video call with Yasin, and Yasin kind of explained what he wanted from this, and then
And what was that exactly?
he was explaining what he was doing. He was explaining that he will need a piece of songket to bring to the museum, and what he kind of wanted to shoot. So really setting the expectations for Kak Non. And then on her side, she explained to us the kind of things that she would need. Some processes are difficult to show because of the scale and the amount of time it would take. So we were very open to discussing how this would go about, and I was very thankful that Kano was very welcoming. So she said it's okay to come and shoot in the workshop. It's okay to shoot these different elements. She doesn't usually do demonstrations of how she colors the string, and she doesn't demonstrate that, but she did that for us. So I was really grateful. And then during the production, she also cooked lunch for us, which I was very grateful for because she's a very good cook. So it was mostly that. That was how we kind of built that relationship lah. Yeah.
And Lukman, in the film, you or just talked about your grandmother, Haja Zainab binti Mamat, or Mokngo, more affectionately known as Mokngo. And one of the things that I thought about when I was watching it and thought you could explore more is that this art form, it doesn't just go back to Kak Non, it just doesn't just go back to Mokngo, it goes back actually to the time of the Srivijayan Empire, all the way back. And it's lasted this long, and you've turned it into a commercially viable art form. So could you talk about how that process of transmission takes place, and how that process of training takes place as well?
So usually, like my mother, she learned from my grandmother, which is basically that's my grandmother's job, and then the source of the living. So basically, they was inspired because to make songket actually because to survive, and then to make on the living. And then songket making was the main industry for women in Terengganu back then. So and then some of the shop in area in Kuala Terengganu are familiar in the songket making. So yeah, that's why we fortunate to be born in the family who are songket maker. That we also inherit skill to weaving. We call it songket right now. So and then the songket history also best go to very long time. And then we are fortunate also in part of it. So yeah, so the transmission is actually is come from the person itself. They need to have a passion because the art making or songket making require a lot of time. So the artisan need to have a passion inside. If not, the artworks cannot be nice and beautiful. So they need to, of course, the learning process already took years, and then to master it another 10 years, and then to create a masterpiece or a significant piece like in the Intra Museum require like at least you have 35 years experience on the songket making. So yes, it's quite hard complexity of arts.
Yes. The other thing that occurred to me when you were talking is that we talk about transmission like just one person to another, but in fact you're transmitting to a whole group of people in a community, because it really was like a community of different
Yeah,
people
yes.
there.
Most of my people actually, they learn skill from their mother also.
Oh, okay.
And then they go back to us, and then they teach their daughter, and then suddenly like their daughter works to my mom, and then hopefully the the continuity is will be lasting enough, because in the future I also need a worker or people for sustainability of my company.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So that, but well, first of all, that's interesting because it's different heritage and family of Songket coming together in a single place. Um, but you mentioned having a factory of workers, basically. How do you coordinate that process? Because these are very intricate pieces, and takes a long time to make. If one person gets something wrong, you have to go all the way back to the beginning.
Yes, it's quite hard, but to coordinate of kind of the process, really the songket making have a 8 process, which is most of my worker are only know to process, which is weaving, but my mom is the currently I think a few people in Malaysia know all the process. So when you all master all the process, you can coordinate easily. You can curate your workers, which they are on their skill level. So my job is to basically is management, and then my mom will cover the production. Yeah, it's quite hard now because we currently have 3 workshop in the area. It's not only one workshop, so we need to cover 3 workshop in the, at one time.
That's a lot of different things to cover. And is it right next to your house also?
The main workshop, yes.
Only one.
The main workshop is yes. The other is like 45 minutes from our house.
The other thing, so we were talking a bit about coordinating people. You also had to coordinate people. And there's a saying that I think editing is where the beauty comes in filmmaking, but directing is a war because it's the production process is really difficult. Could you talk a little bit about coordinating that process of coordinating like Zan and everybody else and getting them to do what you wanted them to do, and also negotiating with Yasin on set because he's coming in as a director, but you're really the one who knows the terrain.
Coordinating Zan was the hardest part, as always. Because Zan is my husband, to be clear. So coordinating him is the worst because he will never listen to me. We are very lucky to work with a crew that we've worked with for a long time, Daily Dose Films, who already understand what the dynamic is. It was not difficult to coordinate with Yasin because Yasin is a very easy guy to work with as well. Most of the coordination was just logistics, which was then made easier by the Terengganu Songket team. We only had a little bit of pivots when Yasin wanted to shoot certain scenes like the boat scene, market. Those were the ones that we kind of had to just kind of slot in. But other than that, it was pretty smooth sailing throughout, mostly because the working dynamic was already very strong.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about, I mean, you know this, that one of the big myths in filmmaking is auteur theory. The idea that the directors all come with, this like one vision, but here you have different styles. The style for the segment in Egypt was very dynamic. There was a lot of movement. The style for the section in Uzbekistan felt very calm, and then your style felt very similar to what you did for the Bajau Laut movie, which was that it was almost fly on the wall, but it felt very real, very grounded. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your own visual style of filmmaking.
In this particular context, all of it was because he was the one that was directing the thing in its entirety. But I think, and I'm just guessing, we can clarify with him later, but I felt like he really was following the pace of the artisan that he was shooting. So when he came to Terengganu and he saw the workshop, he met Kak Non. The first scene that we shot actually was the silat scenes that you saw. So Lokman had very kindly put together a silat demonstration for us because we wanted a scene that showed how Songket is still being utilized in today's society. And from there, he kind of slowed it down to the process of making it because it's such a long process, right? 8 to 10 months. And like Lokman said, Kanun is one of the only last people that knows how to do every single step from the first one all the way to the last step. So I think he wanted to slow it down to that kind of pace to show the amount of patience that it needs, which in a way, again, is lucky that it kind of gels with how I would have also approached it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just before we move on, how long was the shoot?
This shoot was berapa hari ya? 4 ya? It was only about 4 days.
4 days, okay.
And only 3 of those days were with Lokman and Katnon because they also had other things
Yeah,
going
exactly,
on.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we're talking about visual styles. Lukman, Songket has a lot of different visual styles.
Yes, yes.
And we say Songket, but really there's so many different varieties. One of in the patterns and things like that.
Yeah.
The pattern that was used for this Ithra exhibition was Ikat Lima Tenggarung. I think I got that right.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Can you explain the significance of that and why that was selected?
So basically, what in the market, 90% the songket market to be sell is like normal songket. But we have another, the top hierarchy of textile in Malaysia, which is we call it lima. Lima is referred to the old Malay term as ikat, which is basically a famous word in the world worldwide. And then to create ikat, actually the ikat lima was extinct in like 100 years ago. But my late grandmother with her daughter, which is Kak Anon, relived back the old technique. So that's why my late grandmother got awarded by National Craftsman in 2002. And then the piece at
Seni Negara.
yeah. So the piece we showcased in ITRA was the masterpiece created by my mother, which is they took like 6 to 8 months, I guess. And then the Tenggarun is famous for the name of one of the motif lima. And then most of the museum, even though International Museum also showcasing about Ikat Lima Tenggarun. So hopefully there is more museum interested in that.
Exactly, and you brought back a revived something that was forgotten.
Yeah.
One of the things that occurred to me in watching the movie, I've watched it 2 or 3 times now, and one of the things that occurred to me is that all the other art forms exist in purely religious contexts. They exist in the context of mosques, things like that, and often very archaic, old contexts. In your case, you've actually been able to continue Songket into something that is contemporary and without...
Actually, most of the motif in Songket are quite religious.
Oh, okay.
Because in the history, the Songket was like, there's no Songket. We actually it's come from India, like Gujarat, something like that, and then the influenced by the Hinduism, and then after we got the Malay, do the Songket or the Dui women part, they turns the motif into the Malay, into the Islamic culture, and then the more like what we call it, philosophy of the motifs are actually influenced by the Islam. So, because we only talk about the process, we not talk about the detail of the motif. So the talking about the motif like influenced by Islam is like another discussion. It's so deep,
Yes.
so wide. Yeah, actually it is. It's not only about the contemporary motif pattern that you saw.
So in other words, you're saying that it's more woven in, no pun intended, it's woven into the
I
into it in a
understand.
different way. Yeah, that's very interesting. And how have you managed to could you're actually holding an exhibition if people want to go and find out more about it? You want to tell people about that?
So currently Terengganu Songket hosting an exhibition at Ya'asha House, which is started today until 25th August. So we have a 12th day of exhibition. So it's a free entry. Whoever interested to come our exhibition, please come. And then we also hosting several workshop like viewing workshop, which is I can share to Adib later, and then maybe Adib can share to
Sure,
anyone who
sure.
would like it. And then yeah, please come and you can learn more about our songcats. And also we're gonna showcase about our history. So
Right.
the exhibition will have a content from like very in the past and then in the future. So hopefully there's someone that might interested to join us.
The other thing that I wanted to say before closing, and then we'll open to questions if there are any, um, is that I know it was a 4-day shoot, so it's not exactly your longest shoot, but it's long? Okay, but I'm wondering whether that journey of working in this context, whether it has influenced your style as a filmmaker, in a process as a filmmaker in any way, and I mean that journey quite literally because they ended with the shot of the physical journey on the boat. And then it occurred to me, actually, Cheryl and everybody were probably on the boat trying to film that thing, trying not to fall over. So could you, and also you needed the drone shots as well. So could you talk a little bit about maybe the practicalities of that and also what you learned in the process?
Um, I it was it's always every production is a learning experience, no matter how many times you do it. Working with different directors is always a gamble, which is why I don't do it often. But it was nice to watch Yasin work. When I direct something, I like to get a lot of B-rolls, different shots, because I find many things interesting, and I always think that I can tie all these different things together. Yasin is more focused as a director, so there were many things that I suggested, and he was like, "No, I don't think I need that. What I do need is this. I'll need like a big open space kind of shot. I need an establishing shot." He was very clear about what he wanted, and I thought that was good for me to maybe start practicing. I haven't really directed much since then, but it was good practice because it helped keep sort of the efficiency as well. The boat was not a problem because it was a very big boat. It's a tourist boat. So we put Kak Non, Lokman, and Haja at the front, and all of us were seated at the back. I was concerned about the drone because we were flying it blind because we were in the boat and the drone was above us. Um, but and especially at the bridge, you pass the Terengganu bridge, there is no signal. The signal jams out, which we didn't know until we were there.
And then the drone just
Yeah, kan ada restriction.
does the drone just die and fall into the
No, no,
water?
no. It just says that you've hit a airspace limit, so we
Okay.
had to like kind of cut and come down. So that was interesting. It was all a learning experience. Yeah, so it was good in this in that we've never really had to shoot subjects on boats before. And then later, the next year, I went to shoot an entire documentary at sea. So that was good practice, I guess, to do that.
The Bajau Laut movie. Yeah, that's right. Which revolves heavily around the ocean and
Many boats, many boats.
practically
in that
every
one.
shot had somebody on a boat somewhere. Okay. We're going to wrap pretty soon, but maybe like 5 minutes if anybody has any questions for either Lokman or Cheryl. You could ask me, but I'm afraid I can't tell you a lot. I can answer for Yasin. Um, any questions? If there are none, then I just want to say that it's an absolute privilege to be able to finally do an event with you again and to meet you. And thank you very much for coming. And inshallah, it'll be more smooth next time. Thank you very much.